All right. Greetings, everyone. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome back to the channel. Everybody on YouTube, it's been a pleasure all day, every day. So, haven't talked in a while. Wanted to kind of say some stuff. I do have a list here, so we're just going to kind of dive right into the video here. So, to anybody who has had technical difficulties installing content, and this is like myself included, when you go to drift in like online lobbies, right, in Assetto Corsa, the most helpful thing I can tell you is click the install content or install missing content. That is the easiest thing in the world, and it saves you a lot of like tracking and hunting down from from like online websites, right? It also saves you like malware or like any other potential viruses and so on and so forth, because you're downloading it from a dedicated server, right? So it's not going to be like the gypped content. And there's a bunch of different servers that you can choose from. I personally went into ACS. C Toretto's also got some great stuff as far as tracks, and it's all 99% of it's free. So I wouldn't worry too much if you are trying not to break the bank and so on and so forth. Not that any of it's like super expensive anyway, but for the longest time, the Formula cars that I've been drifting, I was not able to actually get into any online lobbies because the Shelby Mustang, oh sorry, I had a nasty cough. The Shelby Mustang was like had some corrupt file on it, and it took me like 3 weeks to actually fix it. But lo and behold, all I had to do was uninstall it, delete it, and just download it straight from the actual server. You know, just click the install missing content button, and it, you know, sure enough, it was good to go. So good times there. Formula cars are such beasts, man. Like it's so crazy, but I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Working on some tandems now. So in this video, right, the one that I'm talking over right now, I found this lobby, and I think it's BDC, and the cars are way slower. Even just from like Gravy Garage, if anybody like drifts around in those cars, these are like, most of these cars are only like 250, 260 horsepower. But the beautiful thing is, it forces you to really work on your technique a lot like Formula cars. So like, this is the best way I can describe it, right? Is you hone your skills and technique on slower cars, and then you perfect them on Formula cars or like way faster cars, right? You should slowly work yourself up. I have the tendency to just kind of dive in and go all or nothing. So I just wanted to say that, you know, if you're going to do tandems and if you're going to do any sort of online drifting, definitely start on slower cars and practice in offline if you are new to drifting, okay? Because otherwise you are going to ruin everybody else's day. I mean, I've been doing this now for 4 months consistently, and there are times where I'm still ruining other people's day, okay? But I'm ruining their day a lot less than like some other people on the track, okay? And I mean, like, it. So this kind of goes into the next topic, right? Which is have proper etiquette in a drift lobby. And this goes for any single game you play, okay? Have a button mapped onto your wheel or controller, whichever you're on, for you to reset back into the pits. There is nothing more frustrating than being in a 3, 4, 5 person tandem, right? Ooh, I got like real close to that wall. There's nothing more annoying than being in a 3 to 5 person tandem and then somebody in the middle just wiping out and just sitting there like a deer in headlights. So please, if you are out there, map it to your controller, map it to your wheel, or map it to something else. Map it to your keyboard right in front of you. Map it to your spacebar, and just click that. See, like that guy right there. That was a perfect example. He spun out. He noticed there was a couple of us behind him, and he just reset, unlike this guy, and just messed up the entire tandem, right? So that was a happy accident, actually. I did not plan that, so nice. So if you're new, practice offline, okay? Because there's really so much that goes into it that a lot of people are not, or don't realize, especially if you're just getting into it, is you need to really practice. Because like when you start tandeming with other people, it's not just about you practicing anymore, it's about you not ruining the experience for yourself and everybody else, right? Because taking the pressure off of ruining everybody else's day, there's nothing worse than failing with the people you're trying to have a good time with, right? So even for your own sake and mentality, to avoid the crazy mental frustration, just practice offline. And I mean practice offline for like a month, okay? And maybe not if you're on controller, right? Because if you're on controller, it's substantially easier, right? But like, it might take you a little bit less time on controller, is basically what I'm saying, because like there's less finer skills to develop. But especially if you're on wheel, take like a month of consistent practice, okay? And I'm not saying you have to spend 8 to 10 hours a day behind the wheel, right? I'm saying spend, an hour a day, nothing crazy. And this goes for a lot of things in life, right? If you spend an hour a day on something consistently, that's 365 hours a year. That's a lot of time. That's I think that's like 2 weeks straight, right? That's like 14 days of your life that you're never going to get back, right? But you're doing this so you can have a much more experienced and a much more wonderful experience, right? Because look in this video, right? I'm not riding these people's doors yet, but I'm practicing, I'm watching them, I'm not getting in their way. I mean, there's a couple times I've gotten in their way, I'm not gonna lie. But I mean, part of it's also, you got to limit test yourself, right? You got to see what you're capable of, and you got to break through plateaus, right? Like this track was so frustrating for like the first like 2 days I was practicing on it, and you can see I'm still kind of getting a hold of the track, right? But I practiced offline trying to get these inner and outer zones before I jumped into an online lobby, so I had an inkling or some semblance of like what I was doing, because there was a lot of confusion for me. Like this put things really into perspective of like how much I have to learn and grow personally. So good times. I feel like I've talked that to death, so we'll move on. The difference between slower and faster drift cars is insane. So I said it earlier, right? And just to kind of refresh your guys' memory, because I'm a talker and I tend to go on tangents. So you hone your skills and you work on them with slower drift cars, right? And when I say slow, I mean 400 horsepower and below. Okay, maybe I should drop that down to like 350, but we'll just say 400 and below, because you could have 400 horsepower in like a 3,500 pound car, right? And that's not very fast. I mean, it is, but it's not, right? I would say 450 plus is a faster car, right? You're starting to get into the finer details. Whoop, bump. You're starting to get into the finer details of drifting and really like applying your practice skill on those slower cars, right? Because with at least when I made the jump to formula racing, right, I went from, I think the Chaser that I drift on a regular basis is like 380 horsepower or something like that, right? So it falls into that slow category. Excuse me. But I went straight from that, right, to like 1,100 horsepower formula racing. Let that sink in for a minute. I made a complete jump into something I had no business doing. But on the contrary, I have, a foundation to work with of skills that I've been practicing since January. And, there was a big adjustment, because those cars want you to do way more to them than you think they do. Like, I was coaching this gentleman, and one of the things I had to keep telling him was this car can handle way more than you are putting into it, right? Like, these cars can handle, like the Formula cars, not what you're seeing in this video. The Formula cars can handle way more angle and way more throttle. And I mean way more, like an incredible amount more. So you have to really find one you are comfortable with and go from there, which kind of takes me to my next point here, which is finding a car you're comfortable with. Now, what a lot of people are going to tell you is just go straight for a Nissan S chassis car to drift on first, right? Because they're the most reliable and blah, 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 right? Which is basically, just to explain that further, is a Nissan S13, 14, 15, so on and so forth. A 350Z, 370Z, basically any Nissan car with an S in front of it, right? Now, with that being said, 99% of my content has been me drifting around Toyota cars, right? Toyota or Lexus, right? Because they're both the same company. And I feel like I've learned a lot, and I feel like I've gotten pretty dang good within the last couple of months, and I have had a quote-unquote not reliable car. and when I say reliable, right, I mean in the sense of the car performing exactly the way you expect it to perform, right? Or like the most consistent, right? So that being said, just find something you're comfortable with, right? Pick a car you like. If you like the Nissans, drift the Nissans. If you like the Toyotas, drift the Toyotas. If you like the Mustangs, drift the Mustangs. On that note, though, I do want to say, find a Mustang mod if you can that's like less than 400 horsepower, because most of the Mustang mods I've seen are all like 800-900 horsepower and blah blah blah, and that's just not a good first car to drift with. Okay. The best thing you can do, in my opinion, is find a mod, right? Like, so go to the online server, hit install missing content on like Gravy Garage or BDC, or there's a lot of good ones, okay? And just download one of those, pick a car you liked, go into offline mode, right? There's a drift track built into Assetto Corsa. You don't even have to download another track, right? And practice on that on a slower car, okay? I'm probably going to go against the system here a little bit, but don't drift a stock car, right? Because while you will learn, it is going to be the most frustrating experience in the world, okay? Like, because the stock cars don't have angle kits, they typically don't have enough power, and you know, I could go on about like the reasons not to, right? But you want to drift on a car that's built for it, right? Or modded for it, if you will, because we're virtual, you know, because you want to know what it's supposed to feel like, right? Like, the best thing in the world, when in the drift world at least, is when you finally hit, like, even if it's a small drift, but you felt the tires come out, you felt the angle that you were about to hold, and you knew, like, there's just something that clicks in your brain that was like, oh, that's how it's supposed to work, right? That's not going to happen on a stock car. And if it does, I mean, good for you, okay? It certainly did not for me, right? And there are some cars you can drift stock, right? Like, you could take like a BMW, like most BMWs you can take out and drift that are just built into the game, right? But like, there's not a lot. And it makes the experience very dry, I guess, in my opinion. So find a server, find cars you like, drift them in online, practice, and just find one you're comfortable with, right? Because even though I have a foundation of drifting for my skills, right? Excuse me, oh my god, not sure what's wrong with me today. You're not going to feel like, not every car is going to feel right to you. Like on this server, for example, because I didn't have this BDC pack, like I had to go through like 4 cars to figure out like which one I was comfortable with, like which one felt right. because not all modded cars are built the same. And I mean, that's a good thing, right? Because like the point of Assetto Corsa is to be as realistic as possible. But I'm not going to talk that to death. And then I wanted to give you guys a quick update on my new gear, because I've had it for about 2 weeks now, and it is amazing. Like, I don't have the vocabulary to explain to you guys how amazing it is. It's so, like, it feels so good. My throttle control has gotten 90, so I have grown as a driver so much because like of the finer, minute skills, and like just the control I have over the car now is insane. Like, it's so good. It, like, everything feels great. I'm not gonna lie, the sequential shifter is taking a while to get used to, and that's a me problem, not the shifter problem, because the shifter feels great, you know what I mean? It clicks very nicely, and I'm still kind of getting the hang of it, because you really don't have to touch it a whole lot to shift, right? Which is kind of nice, if I'm being totally honest. My e-brake has been weird. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it does its job, and I don't notice it when I'm drifting, so it can't be that bad, right? I just wish it had a spring in it instead of like the washers. I guess that's like my only gripe. I'm sure there's a way I can fix it. I just don't feel like doing it right now. I'm not gonna lie. So let's see. All right. That's all I had to talk about, guys. So I hope you guys have been enjoying the content. I've just been kind of focusing on shorts, like I said I was. I'm gonna, keep trying to put out just like 1 or 2 videos a week. I think what I'm gonna start doing is Mondays are gonna be like a weekly update, and then either on Thursday or Friday I'm gonna put out like a hill climb or a downhill of some sort. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff.